Amy Acker, you play Root in Person of Interest.
I do.
Root is kind of this fascinating character that defies description. Could you please describe her? Because I can't.
Well, that was a good set. Let's see. I started out as sort of a psychopath killer for hire hacker.
Which, to be fair, is how most of the characters started out.
That's true. And now I'm just one of the gang.
Yeah.
I think it's, just your everyday girl who happens to talk to God and,
Sounds totally normal.
it's good.
The transition, though, between being the season 1 big bad to being someone integral to saving the world has been really different to every other show ever. How has it been playing that?
I think what was great about Root from the beginning is she's had one thing that's been consistent throughout, which is that she's followed the machine no matter what. And so even when she was doing things that weren't so nice, she was still doing it in order to save the machine and to protect the machine. And so now that she got on board and got some good influences from her friends, that now she's still worried about saving the machine and fighting against Samaritan, but she's less likely to kill you if you're in the way of doing that.
Well, that's always a nice feature.
It's always nice.
Is the machine something you personally would want to see happen in the real world?
I mean, I'm somewhat worried that it already is happening, but as long as it's the machine, I think we're safe. As long as there's a Harold Finch out there who is behind this and controlling it, I think we're good. Where I'm very terrified and living in New York, I start to get probably too nervous about things, but I see cameras and I'm pretty sure Samaritan's watching. So I'm less likely to want to live in a world where Samaritan is in charge.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad.
That would be pretty terrible.
Would you want to talk to the machine like Root and be able to shoot behind you just because you can?
I mean, it does come in handy. It's always nice to not have to look at people and be able to kill them.
Yeah, I think that's the dream.
Yeah.
So Root and Shaw kind of had the most amazing chemistry from the beginning. Was kind of that always planned, or are you just really good at stuff?
I think, I don't think when they wrote the scene of me meeting her and torturing her with an iron that they thought it was going to be the beginning of a relationship. But once we had the iron in hand, it was just meant to be. So.
The sweet love story. The new Romeo and Juliet.
Exactly.
Now, one thing I've been really curious about since season 1. Does Root mean the same thing in the US as it does in Australia?
What does it mean in Australia?
It is perhaps another word for sexual intercourse.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard that,
So
but
that's a no
maybe. But I like that. That's. Let's say yes. I don't know.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, there are kind of a lot of parallels between Root and Illyria. How do you think a conversation between them would go, and would either of them survive it?
My first thought would be very violently. I don't know. Illyria wasn't really one for the talking, so I'm not sure that trying to explain an AI living in your head. Well, maybe they would be besties. I'm not sure. Yeah, they could be.
They have similar feelings towards humanity.
That's true. Yeah. I think that sounds like a Shaw could get jealous. I don't know.
It'd be a great roommate sitcom.
That's true. I think you should write that.
Okay, I'll get on that.
Okay.
Well, speaking of slightly crazy fan theories, it has been suggested on the internet, where all the crazy comes from, that perhaps the machine could be kind of a cousin to the computer that Topher uses in the dollhouse, and that maybe Root is one of Whiskey's identities.
Oh,
What do you think of that?
that's a lot of things. It is. I like that idea too. I feel like we have a lot of shows to make.
You'll be employed until well beyond death.
Well, good.
It's probably the plan of the machine.
I think that sounds great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been so lovely talking to you.
Well, thank you. It's so fun to be here, and thanks for having me.
Have a great weekend at Supernova.
I will. You too. And thanks.
Thank you.
Rhubarb, 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 rhubarb.